So the news came through. The Burning Lands is dead. Or is it? By the way, before we get into this video, a lot of the gameplay will be Hell Let Loose. We've all seen the same repeated gameplay of the Burning Lands at the moment, so I thought I'd put something a little bit more interesting. And a game that's actually still going and is not dead. So, hey, that's a plus. So, I feel like my emotions are being played around with like a toxic ex-girlfriend at this point, but the Burning Lands has had more and more twists and turns, like the road that my nan fell off when she was driving to Cornwall. However, the biggest news that has come out of the last couple days is that the development team have resigned for good. Yep, there is now no discussion about it. They released another statement. Dear Burning Lands community, we want to take this time for you to thank you for your unwavering support throughout the development of this project, including its recent dissolution. This community is one of the bright spots in what has otherwise been a heartbreaking experience. However, we still believe that our decision was the correct one. That was the decision that a couple weeks ago they decided to go on strike. They were having arguments with the lead developer Chance and saying that he wasn't pulling his weight. He wasn't putting down a board of management and there was pretty much no structure to the company, quote unquote. The developers were working for free, and whilst they say that that was their choice to, it seems like it ended in a lot of troubles for the company. You see, Chance was not listening. At least that's what it seemed from his statement. When he released his part of the story, it said that he tried to get in contact with the development team, but they just didn't want to speak to him. Then it goes on to say that they didn't ask for much. They just wanted a managing board of directors, him to step down as the lead developer and director, and that was pretty much it. But he didn't want to do that for whatever reason, so the development team, all 19 of them, went on strike. But now they've said, we have no regrets about coming forward with our concerns about the management of Burning Lands, and we believe that the loss of our time and potential future income was a small price to pay to uphold our sense of integrity. Unfortunately, we cannot continue with the project under current management. Our differences are irreconcilable, and legal action has made future collaboration untenable. We, the remaining members of the original development team, hereby resign from the Burning Lands Vietnam effective immediately. We will complete no further work on the project and do not wish to be associated with the Burning Lands Vietnam in any future capacity. They do say they bear no ill will to 0 Hour Interactive, which is the development team, but if I'm going to be honest, this is pretty much the whole development team quitting on them. I thought that was it. I actually made a full video talking about how the Burning Lands was over, it was done and dusted. In some sort of peaceful way, the Kickstarter now has under £27,000 put into it, which is nowhere near their goal, meaning as soon as it ends in 5 days, everybody will be refunded. Okay, we can breathe a sigh of release. The development team have gone their own ways. Chance, who seemed like was the issue here, didn't come out on top, and nobody lost their money. However, then just as I was uploading the video, it took another turn. You see, it wasn't over for Chance. He came out with a statement on his Kickstarter. Yes, the Kickstarter that is still active at this point in time. And this is when it starts to get juicy. In the Kickstarter, in an announcement from Chance, we get a bit more of a reveal of the behind the scenes working and how the game's going to move on in the future. Because yes, it is going to move on in the future, despite all odds. How? Well, I guess we're about to find out. He says, in light of recent events, it's crucial to clarify that a considerable number of the developers involved in the project had previously agreed, as part of their arrangement, to be remunerated from the profits generated by Burning Lands Vietnam after its release, rather than receiving compensation prior to the point, confirming that the developers were not being paid here. They were just saying that once it's released, give us some of the profits. Which, I mean, I guess if that's what was agreed, fair enough. But like in every other case, it hasn't worked out. Just as a little tip, guys, just because you're passionate about something doesn't mean you should work for it for free. Because there will be a point where there's a sticking point or issues come up, maybe you have disagreements, and unfortunately the world works where money talks. And to keep you in a project, to get it to the end point where players can actually play it, sometimes paying people is often the best way to go, mate. Just because they agreed to do it for free doesn't mean that that should be the way it's done. He then adds in a little bit of his own opinion, which is a bit strange in a Kickstarter post, saying, "This has left me perplexed regarding their actions, as their conduct not only resulted in a setback for the project, but adversely impacted themselves and the online community eagerly anticipating the development." So how is this game still being made? How are there still developers when 19 of them, which I assume is the majority of them, have quit? Well, Chance says a few individuals are still involved and a couple more are coming on board. And that's it. He does say that this won't affect the quality of the product and it still will release. Yet now I'm assuming having no more than 6 or 7 people on your team, down from what I assume was almost a 30-man team, how is this even going to work? How are you going to keep the quality the same? How are you going to release it and keep up with the demand? And how are you going to recover from the backlash that the community has given you? Because don't get me wrong, people don't know the developers and people don't know you, Chance, but you can give a good judgment of which side is the more logical here. And through your own statements, you've not come across very well. An interesting point he makes within this statement is saying that in his internal discussions with the development team, he was interested in bringing on someone as a project lead. This was great. This is one of the things that the developers actually wanted him to do, to step down and have someone more capable take over. Yet he then says this will only be feasible when the project is financially stable. Well, 1, that's not going to happen anymore, and 2, sounds like such a cop-out because you're not paying any of the other developers and now you're using the fact that you want to pay a project lead as the excuse why you're not getting them in at this point in time. He finishes the statement saying that the Burning Lands Vietnam will carry on. Of course, the Kickstarter has lost over $100,000 at this point, so whether it can still baffles me. I guess if you can find more people to work for free, that is still a possibility. But he does say that the developers that were working on it before should still be paid what they were owed once the game releases. But that all just depends on whether the game releases or not, whether the development team can be rebuilt, and whether, if I'm going to be honest, the reputation can be rebuilt. Because the Burning Lands now has a black mark on its name. Not from any of the internet drama, people making videos or talking about it, but from 2 sides. Chance, the lead developer, and the main developers themselves. These 2 people went public and they have put a stick on their name. Of course, the 19 developers that have left probably don't mind anymore. They're out of the case and that's fine. But for Chance, it's going to be a huge thing to turn it around. Do I want them to? Yes, because I want the game. I really want to play Burning Lands and I want to see it succeed, but I don't think it is something that you can now ask a community to put their hard-earned cash and money into. The Kickstarter is now up and I don't know, but it sounds like they're planning on doing something else, raising some more money from the community. And I think asking people to pledge their money since what's been going on, because whether it was the 19 developers who's left's fault or whether it was your fault, it doesn't matter. It all came down to bad management in the first place and letting this stuff go on for so long. So if you want to make this game, sure, but fund it off your own back. Stop asking the players for your money because you've proven that this can't be handled in a successful and a viable way. At least that's just my opinion. I'm just going to go back to Hell Let Loose if I'm going to be honest.